Hello, Reese from the Point Music Podcast thingy. Back again with a very cool podcast. This time around, we've got Melbourne artist Danika. She's just released an EP called When Love Comes. It's incredible. If you love sort of organic sort of stuff mixed with trip hop kind of influences, you need to check out this EP. So we talk about the production of that and all other things. We go down a few rabbit holes, and I really enjoyed it. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of all sorts, this is Danika. We are rolling, and hello, Danika. How are we in Melbourne this evening?
Yeah, we're good down here in a very drizzly Melbourne classic day.
That's very classic Melbourne. Was it hot and sunny at one point, and then basically, yeah, it's the normal
It
shit.
was it was sunny this morning and then it was like blowing a gale
Ugh.
and now it's kind of beautiful and still and rainy.
Sorry if this is other people won't see this, but there's like a whole ring light thing, and there's a big phone, right? So Danika's basically looking at two versions of me, so I'm trying to sort of peer around the phone. And this is really redundant of me saying this because if you listen to the audio version, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. I want to talk about your EP because When Love Comes is freaking phenomenal, man.
Thank you.
I like it because it's so organic and fresh, but it's got some of that. I mean, I was a teenager in the '90s, and there's a lot of trip hop sort of stuff coming through. I could be wrong, but to me, I'm getting some like full like Lamb and Portishead vibes sneaking in with all the organic stuff coming in through here. So let's talk about the process of this whole EP first, and then we're gonna go down a little bit of memory lane sort of shit. So
Cool.
the whole EP process, because hang on, I very rarely have notes, but I have to with you because you're an interesting one. Now I've lost it.
No.
I wanted to talk about who you actually recorded with and how.
Oh, well, I can answer that.
Yeah.
I recorded with a producer called Nick Herrera, who
Found it. Hiatus Cody. Yep.
that's right. Yeah, he basically was a part of a recording. He often helps out with engineering on their music, but was actually part of the production for their first record. I think it was Talk Tomahawk. So that was a pretty massive album for them. And yeah, we're both living here in Melbourne, and I guess just through like connections of the music world, had him in my sights as someone I wanted to work with on my first release. So that all worked out really well.
So how did you actually like do the whole? Did you have to pitch to him saying, "Look, I've got this whole concept I want to get done." Did you have to sell yourself, or he was like, "Yeah, I'm in"?
I guess it was pretty easy because we were kind of already mates and had crossed paths quite a bit with other projects. And yeah, it was really, I was definitely nervous asking him because it's scary asking someone you admire to help with your art. But
Yeah.
no, it was really easy. He was just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And he actually put so much effort into it, so much like care and consideration. Apparently my internet, if it cuts out.
Yeah, you got a little bit glitchy thing, but you managed to go through that, so that was all right. You didn't completely freeze on me. Unlike you just did.
Great.
Oh, he just did. Oh wow. So going into the whole recording of the EP and that, how much pre-production were you doing beforehand, or did you just go in and got a couple of notes and let's just make this puppy?
I recorded quite a few demos just using my iPad,
Yeah.
And GarageBand, because that's kind of, sometimes it's less stressful to just go the most simplest route. And that was actually really fun and freeing to put that together beforehand. And so when I first started working with Nick, we quite closely worked with two demos I'd made, which was Suit of Armor, which was the first single I put out,
Yep.
and another track that hasn't been released yet called For My Baby. And so we actually recorded those two first, quite similarly to the demos, but then layered up with Nick's sort of production ideas. And then as we kind of got further into the process, because we did record it over quite a few months, and as we got further along, it definitely became a bit more free flow, a bit sort of just each session was organic and experimental.
Yeah, I was because I was quickly listening and refreshing it this afternoon, and Suit of Armor. It's gonna sound weird because vocally it's got nothing to do with this artist, but musically, I'm getting either Kate Bush or Björk kind of vibes, sort of melodying in, and with your flavor on top. It's I don't know if that was any intention at all, but yeah, as soon as that sort of weird melodic percussive stuff that starts coming in Suit of Armor, I just went straight to Kate Bush for some reason. I have no idea why. It just did.
And do you mean kind of the sort of accented like offbeat of the shake
Yeah,
coming in?
well that and just
Yeah.
like the tones of like whatever that percussive that was being used is kind of like a boom kind of thing. Like it was kind of like a jambuka or tabla or something. I don't know what it was, but it was really cool sounding
Oh
drums.
yeah, in terms of the tones coming through on the EP, Nick Herrera, like I call him the tone lord
Mm.
because he's just kind of very interested in texture and tone. So yeah, he's definitely behind the whoop noise.
The whoop. Best way to. I just needs a little bit more whoop. And we got it. Particularly
And that's kind of resonant.
well
Yeah.
when love comes, so the title track, which is that's the last track on the EP, I
Mm.
believe. Yeah, that one there's got like a really. I love how is the phaser on the vocals is not something because it goes all the way through, and I wasn't expecting that because when you listen to something like Old Man or Sort of Arm or If You Call My Name, you've got a very organic feel, even though you've layered up your vocals in that. But when Love Comes, it's got that phaser running through it. It's trippy as, and I loved how experimental it got towards the end there, with the strings coming through and all that beautiful sort of stuff, and you sort of built it up. It's kind of like a nice little epilogue, I guess, of the whole release. So, was that one of the last tracks you wrote? Did you have a particular reason why you stuck that one last?
Um, no like strong reason. I think it is a potent, poignant song in the content of it. I just feel like, yeah, I just feel like the nature of it's, and also the production of it was quite strong. So
Yeah.
I think it just felt right to end with that one. Also, I just feel like the actual ending of that song is such a finishing feeling.
Hmm.
Um, just with the rain and the choir, like we actually had a choir of beautiful people that I had been working with down here, and we recorded in a warehouse, and we recorded on a rainy day,
Oh wow.
or it was in like intermittent rain, and then just in the recording, you hear the rain come in just before we all jump into the chorus, and that was all natural, so it was just epic in a way. So I don't know.
It's one of those moments caught on tape when it's lightning in a bottle kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there's one of those moments in Old Man as well where this plane flies over. And I recorded that live outside in one take, and I heard this like it's not a regular plane, it's a small plane. It
Yeah.
had like a low down kind of gritty sound, and I could hear it coming. So I just kind of left extra bars for it to fly over. And when we listen back, it's actually incredible how it changes pitch as it flies over, you know,
Yeah.
meow. And it just hit the chord changes in key. So
Oh,
it was another
what?
moment of,
There's a bit of serendipity happening there musically. Wow. Okay.
so listen out for that. And I just did like a little sort of overdub vocal to kind of blend it in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the plain moment.
I like using because I produce music as well. So like I like using organic or just weird sounds that just be happening outside of the realm that we're used to in the studio and using all instruments and that. I mean, one of the last songs on the album that I'm finishing off, it was where I live. It's suburbia, but it's still got like forest around and range and that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of birds at certain times of the day. And it just happened to be a very calm day where there was no traffic noise or anything like that, and the birds would just go on nuts, and it just sounded like a full choir. So I just stuck my phone outside and just hit record and just grabbed a sound grab of these birds doing this whole chorus thing, and then I basically used that as an intro and an outro to this last track.
I lost you.
And it just kind of works because it's a kind of song that I've written to end the album, because the rest of the album's so frenetic and dark, and then you got this sort of like, and even that song itself is really dark, and then you just got this sort of like calming moment of it's done, and then there's these birds just singing happily. So I like how you use that. You've used like all this weird circumstances just to meld into your sound, and I really appreciate that in artists.
Well, thank you, but also thank you on behalf of Nick for being like quite an experimental producer in a sense, you know, a little bit unconventional, which I like. And yeah, I think also it's so amazing. I don't think we used any sort of lo-fi recording gear, but just referencing using your phone to sort of sample the outside world. I just think it's so accessible now, having all this sort of equipment. You can just put together anything.
Well, even song ideas, all of a sudden you just got to like, you could just be walking somewhere and you just go, oh, as us creatives do, these moments hit us at the most weirdest moments, like weirdest times. But if we've got our phone there, we can just basically hum that part into the phone and write it down. And okay, off topic. You ever have one of those dreams where you've actually written a song and you just go, this is the most amazing song, and then you try to replicate that first thing in the morning? Have you ever had one of those moments before?
I have never tried to write a song from a dream. How did you go?
It's a fart. It doesn't work. For whatever reason, it doesn't transcribe, and it's the most frustrating process. I don't know if I'm just alone in that. I'm surely there's other people that have dreams where
I've definitely woken up in the middle of the night after music in my dreams and like kind of like sung it to try and put it in there somewhere. But
did it ever
I haven't. No, I have a pretty notoriously terrible memory, so I'm still learning not to rely on it. So in my sleep, I should have grabbed my phone.
Yeah, I know. Nick Murphy, aka Chet Faker, whichever way you want to identify him as. The song he did, was it Gold? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And he had a dream. It was a case of him dreaming it, and he woke up and he hummed the actual bass line, but he realized it was the bass line to David Essex's one, a very old song, and I can't think of the name of the song right now. It's a very popular song, and it's been a long day, and I can't really think of it, but it's a very famous one, and the bass line to it, and he realized, oh, that's the bass line but I really want that, so he basically transcribed it down and put it into and became that famous song of his. I'm rambling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that was the moment of him waking up and grabbed his phone, because that was the first thing that was there, and hummed it, and then basically went back to sleep, and then he checked it in the morning and went, oh, yep, that's it.
I feel like that's the biggest secret to being like an artist, is to just follow through with an idea. You know, I have about 5 phones that I've died over the course of my phone life. And they're all in a drawer here, and I have to go to a data recovery person to get back all of the voice I've ever made. Never back them up, you know.
Surely there's got to be a few albums in there worth, right?
Oh, there's like a whole career's worth of ideas, because it's so habitual just to pick up the phone and sing into it. But then I'm like, cool, done. Yeah. Bye.
So being in Melbourne and being in the situation you guys have been in for the past 18 months or so, like that, you've done the brave thing by releasing a whole EP, and I'm assuming you haven't played it live yet.
No. Oh, well, no, not since I've released it. No.
Is there a chance that you're going to be doing that anytime soon?
Yeah, I have a Melbourne gig
Woo!
booked in for the 3rd of December. So that's
Yoo-hoo-hoo!
exciting. That's what I'm working on now, is actually getting all the music and all my bandmates together.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have also a gig booked in Sydney on the 18th. So I've got a different band that I've hit up a couple of people in Sydney to
Mm.
ask if they'd play with me. So it's kind of like long distance organizing a band, which I haven't
Oh wow.
ever done.
Yeah. How's that work? Because like relying on this is obviously there's lag and that sort of stuff. So there's no way in hell you can actually do it that way.
No, definitely not. What I've done is, what I'm going to do is sing the whole set with my little studio set up at home,
Yep.
just in sort of set order of the gig so that they can play along to it. And also send them, I want them to sing. Oh, maybe not the Sydney people, I won't make them sing. Um, but maybe I'll ask them to, actually don't know yet. Lucky it's like, a month and a half away. So we've
Yeah.
got a bit of time
A little bit of
to
time
muck
to
around.
prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whereabouts in Sydney would be playing?
The Golden Age Cinema.
I have no idea where that one is. Where's that?
It's a quite a beautiful little semi-underground cinema space somewhere
Hmm.
in the city. I don't know where.
Cool. Well, it's been a long time since I've played Sydney because obviously, but yeah. Um, whereabouts in Melbourne though are you playing?
I'm playing at the Brunswick Ballroom, which it used to be the Spotted Mallard
Yep, another one.
on Sydney Road. Yeah, I'm really excited. I've never actually played a gig. I might have sung a sort of support set there years ago, but I haven't actually played there for a long time. So it's a very beautiful space. I'm really looking forward to that one.
So, what I want to talk about now, we'll get into the beginnings of your little career and that sort of stuff. But you spent what 10 years? Did you spend 10 years in the UK?
No.
No. Where have I read that?
And where did you read that? I'd love to know because someone else said that as well. And I was like, no, no, just 1 year. I did
Just
1 year
one
there.
one year in the UK. Okay, so there's an extra zero that's been added to it.
Oh, yeah, it was 1 year in France, actually.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la
Yeah, it
la.
was really.
I was gonna say you 10 years in the UK, and then you would have been just hanging around everywhere, and then music scene over there. But so you haven't done anything in the UK.
Let me.
Love it.
No, you let me know where you read that because clearly there's been a bit of a muck up.
Yeah, I will let you know where I read that. But okay, so what were you doing in France? Was it just a holiday, or were you actually there like honing skills?
I I basically watched my best friend go on exchange at 15 and she went to Mexico. And
Mm.
I was just like, that looked sick. So I applied to go on exchange kind of a little later on, as my gap year, which was a little bit odd because I was 18. Um, but yeah, I went and lived in the south of France, um, and just kind of learnt French and ate cheese and, you know,
As you do in
it was
France.
great. Yeah, it was pretty interesting because I was basically, it wasn't like I was free to run my own show. I was very much like went back to high school and was in French classes, and I'd never spoken French in my life. So it was like pretty intense. But I guess also being so isolated, I took my guitar and did actually spend quite a lot of time writing and playing. And so it was probably good for my music.
Yeah, the Rolling Stones did it.
Did they?
Yeah,
What they
that's where
do?
Exile on Main Street was written in France. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was the real um druggy album. A lot of, yeah. If you look into the history of that album, there was a lot of basement sessions where they went for like 36 hours and that sort of stuff. And there was there were times where A&R people would come in and check in on them, and they'd just be strung out. But it made an incredible record if you like the Rolling Stones. So yeah, there you go.
Sounds very rock and roll.
Very rock and roll, as opposed to what you were doing. Probably wasn't very rock and roll. Nah.
No. Although, I mean, there's probably parts of it that are rock and roll. Like, Used to smoke joints after school. Actually, that was another good part of my music because I get quite anxious when I smoke weed. So I'd like just smoke a joint after school and then be like, and then I just go lie in my bed in the dark and listen to music and just like try and listen to all of the parts of it. So I guess in a way that was fun.
That'll count. We'll count that.
Did that break up? Has my internet
It's been
done
okay.
dirty as well?
It's been okay. It's a little bit glitchy in past, but we're getting the conversation happening. It's all right.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, you were a Triple J Unearthed High finalist like 10 years ago. Now that is where the 10 years comes in. Yeah.
That's what the 10 years is.
Yeah. But instead of like given this opportunity like a lot of high schoolers would, I mean, I was in bands in high school too, and I know that if I was given the opportunity, I'd be like, yep, follow it through. You decided to actually not and go a different way, didn't you?
Well, I'd already planned my trip to France, so
Yeah.
this music thing came out of nowhere. This music thing actually just came out of nowhere, and I was like, like blown away by the situation, but also was pretty had my head set pretty strongly on going overseas. I had some pretty grandiose ideas of what overseas would be.
Yeah, we all do. So
Yeah, I was. Yeah, the Triple J thing was. It was pretty. Yeah, I don't know, wild.
So, because obviously you weren't pursuing it, so was it something that just you decided to upload the song and then go from there, just on a whim, or yeah?
Yeah, it was. So I wrote my first proper song on the guitar. Um, I mean, yeah, it started with a community art program run by this woman called Julie Barrett, who was just like a legend in the community I lived in, which is like the Lismore area up in the Northern Rivers.
Yep.
And she put on this sort of program where young creatives could partner with mentors and set some goals and have 6 months to complete them and $500 to fund it. And so it started there. And yeah, I had a dream to make an EP and put a song on Triple J Unearthed. And yeah, recorded this song I'd written only like, in that 6 month period and put it on Triple J like I'd planned. That was like ticking a box.
Yeah.
But then it went top 6 and like, whoa, from 0 to 100. Yeah.
How did you feel about that?
Pretty, like at the time it was pretty exciting. I remember when they were announcing you get an email and they're like, you're in the top 30, just so you know. And you're like, oh. And then when they announced the top 6, just getting my name read out, I just remember that morning kind of, running through the house going, ah! And then my grandpa, bless him, called up Triple J because they were saying my name wrong. And told the presenters how to say my name properly. And I just, thought that was legendary.
That's actually pretty cool. Grandpa in for the swoop.
Yeah, go Gramps. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with the national youth broadcaster, and I have done for a very long time. And I know there are a lot of artists that have the same thoughts that I do, and curious to know if you were in the same sort of realm. We're not shitting on the national youth broadcaster, by the way, but I'm just curious to know like where you stand with their approach to things, because I have a feeling, because you were introduced to it at, like, because you were 16, was it you 16 when that happened?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna age myself here, but when I was 16, that was in the middle of the 90s, so the only peers around that time that were actually getting played on Triple J were Silverchair. And that was it. Like, you would be looking at artists and they'd be in their mid-20s to late 30s. Now it's completely switched. So someone like my age, obviously I'm aged out according to Triple J anyway, so whatever. but it seems to me it's getting younger and younger, and I'm more concerned with um, the pressures and the mental well-being of these artists and what they're under quite often to keep up, because this industry, if you don't try and always constantly be staying a step ahead, it can take its toll on you quite easily.
Totally. Yeah. Um, what do I think about that? I guess I used to love Triple J. So when I was 10, even younger, we had to drive an hour to school where we were living at the time. And Triple J, I think it was Adam and Will,
Yep.
were our morning entertainment, and they were hilarious. And they were playing heaps of different artists that were not strictly, young. I mean, I think it's changed a lot. Maybe I'm getting old too.
You're
I think
aging
I
out
am.
now. Careful.
But yeah, I've aged out. But since coming to Melbourne, moving to Melbourne about 8 years ago, literally went home for 2 weeks after France and went straight to Melbourne. I haven't really listened to Triple J since, and pretty out of touch, to be honest, with what the Triple J culture is. It doesn't speak to me at all. And when I do listen, I feel pretty disconnected to the music. I think there's so much more going on than what they're playing.
Yep.
Heaps of diversity and talent, age aside. And because it's such a massive platform with such a big reach, they just have such an opportunity to be sharing more diversity in genre and heaps of things. So I don't know though. I honestly don't listen to it. So
I think that actually shows, particularly in how you've created this EP, because there's nothing that I can think of right now that is sounding like what you've come up with, and that's why I actually really liked it, because it is just, I wasn't able to just go, oh yeah, that sounds like that artist there. You can tell where they got, like, the only thing I could draw from was like influences from 2 to 3 decades ago coming through. And I like seeing that in artists come through, and I do get them coming through as well. Like, it's not just yourself, but you can tell that they're not heavily influenced or creating music just purely for that purpose, if you know what I mean. You're creating art because you're expressing something that means the most to you and how you're putting it forward, and you're using a producer that has the same vision, if not of his vision and your vision together, just create this incredible art. And then you have like these sort of other bands that I'm not going to name. I can't name them. They're from up here. I can't stand them. That they just create this shit and people lap it up. I mean, I'm sorry for shitting on someone's art, but at the same time, though, I'm calling it out. And they create music just to fit it into that specific sort of block, so this particular radio station plays it. And I hate that.
Yeah, I definitely know of like the Triple J filter in terms of creating a particular sound to be picked up by them, to be played. Like you're already
it
squeezing.
doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, apparently.
Oh, that filter?
The Triple J sound doesn't exist. We all know it does. It's bullshit. Sorry. Do continue.
Yeah, well, I think I've heard about it, and it makes sense to me that it does. It's just a bit sad that young creatives are sort of changing their sound to fit within a pretty small space of music. But yeah, I don't know. I guess outside of Triple J, which is such a massive presence in Australian music, there's so many platforms and music enthusiasts and musical culture that exists outside of Triple J that has honestly been where I've been at for years. And so I don't know.
Well, it's how you're saying the platform. Like, it's interesting because I only listen to that station if my phone's not plugged into my car. So like it's basically
Mm.
only short trips, and most of the time it's only like in the afternoon, and usually like Hackers on or something like that instead. But on the odd chance that it is,
Mm.
it's the same music. But it was interesting to hear how much of an influence TikTok is having on their charts now. So a lot of music that's actually been filtered and getting a lot of radio play now is actually you're finding on the TikTok platform first, and then it gets played on there instead of the other way around. I don't know. I'm assuming you don't use TikTok, but um, that's
Ooh.
it has been happening a lot.
So Triple J is now being influenced by what becomes sort of the soundtrack to TikTok
Oh hell yeah,
videos. Mm.
big time. And it's
Yeah.
and when you think about it, I mean, they've changed the format now. I mean, you could be taking notes and actually using this. Because it used to be either 15-second or 1 minute grabs. A lot of the songs, I mean, as artists themselves, we're used to writing like 3 to 5 minute songs, unless you're like something like Tool or some progressive thing, you're writing 8 minute, 10 minute opuses, right? But most of the time, our mindset's to write a 3 minute, or we may write a 6 minute song and have it edited down to 3 minutes because we know that was the standard for radio play. You look at the average length of the song now, in general, it's under 3 minutes. It's like 2.5 minutes,
Mm.
and a lot of the time it's because of these TikTok sound grabs, and they're looking for that one hook that's going to be used. And they might not even like the whole song; they just wait for that one hook. It's like I don't know, listening to dance music or EDM and waiting for that one drop and just going, "That's what I love. It's that drop." It's these sound grabs, and a lot of these artists, I've been watching it because I'm on TikTok and I actually follow all these producers on there, and you can tell they're actually creating music crafted for that platform. And I don't know, what do you think about that?
It depends, I guess, as an artist, what you're happy to be doing. Because if you want to act as a business through your art, then that's the new world. This is just technological evolution happening all the time. Like TikTok's just the new thing. And so I can imagine that people, if they make the right song for that platform and it does take off, then that could mean some sort of income from their art. So I guess people are just sort of using, like, I don't really have a strong opinion of whether it's good or bad. I think it just is what it is. Like
Yeah.
artists like myself, I use music to process emotions and share that because I'm just hoping that other people who need to hear a song like that will find it and it'll give them comfort. But, also someone's got a song or someone's got a skill set of production where they do enjoy writing little hooky bangers to pop on TikTok. There's so many artists in the world and so much opportunity. Like as long as you enjoy what you're doing, then do it. Um, it's just I just think check in with yourself to make sure you're happy and
Yeah.
it's it's hard as well being an artist and having any kind of financial stability through it as well. So it's so easy to get caught in like doing things for other things that um you know I don't know. So
Well, we're expected to be our own social media managers a lot of the time, our own PR, our own sort of business managers, our own booking agents a lot of the time until we to sort of step up to the next level. It's as I was saying, it's previously there's an increased amount of pressure that's on musicians these days, to particularly independent artists, to try and keep up, and it's exhausting. And I think when the pandemic hit last year and everything got put on hold, and this is the reason why I started the podcast, by the way, because the point's been running for 12 years, but the podcast thing only came into effect because of the pandemic, because I couldn't see my mates, basically. And I suffer from social anxiety and all sorts of other stuff too, and ADHD and whatever. But I had a sense of relief when it slowed right down because there was no playing catch ups. And I know a lot of other musicians were actually feeling the same way, and they actually had the freedom, despite the fact that they were in lockdown and couldn't perform. They had the freedom to be creative and create this other music that they haven't been able to do because of the fact they've been too busy trying to gig, book, social media manage, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know how you, because you did this. Did you record this before the pandemic, the EP?
Yeah, I did it in 2019.
Right. So, but was it fully finished before that hit? Oh, so you were lucky.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you create anything in that time when you had?
Actually, yeah.
You did. So, like a whole nother album. You got me?
I think it's broken up a little bit.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah,
I'm
sorry.
blaming it on the weather.
Do you have like a whole new EP or album just sitting there ready to go?
Yeah. So this is the first EP of two. So there'll be a
Oh,
second one. So get ready.
yeah.
It's all recorded already. So
All right.
it was a full album in a sense. Like that was the first sort of
Ah,
version of it, but just due to the pandemic and things being completely different to how they normally are,
yeah.
we kind of just changed our approach to have more kind of, yeah, I guess, or you can, like, you can't really perform as much as, or we haven't been able to perform at all.
Mm.
So put more energy into releasing. So instead of just putting a record out, we've split it into two EPs. And we will eventually put it out on vinyl at some point because I would like a copy of it on vinyl.
Don't we all? Just that feeling of just go, yes, I succeeded. Yes, here it is. There's a physical version. It's not just a bits and bytes. It's there. Oh,
Exactly.
that was the coolest thing. Like I was just wondering if like, yeah, and I actually know a few other artists that actually decided instead of releasing an album, do a split EP, two EP kind of thing. That is cool. So is it like a reflection of the first EP, or is it just a continuation?
The second one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, because we recorded it in with a LP in mind,
Mm,
it is definitely cohesive completely
yeah.
throughout. But when I kind of conceptualized how to split the record, um, I guess in a way it honors a few different avenues of where I've been at musically. So the first one is to the one we've already put out, kind of is a bit more folky and a bit more um, acoustic in nature. The more acoustic songs on the record,
Yeah.
um, because I think at the heart, naturally a folk artist. But then the second EP is paying tribute a little bit more to like the way my music's been influenced by the musical community that I've been a part of for quite a few years in Melbourne. And it's more like the neo soul jazz scene. So there's all of this. I sang backing vocals in a
The 30
band
to
for
30 70. Yeah.
yeah, for a number of years, and that opened up. Like I loved that process. I loved being able to sing harmonies and color the music and help add to it. And it was really challenging and like just exciting. So there's so many influences from working with that band. So many new musicians, like for instance, Jay Dilla. So this like
Yeah.
very hip hop kind of beats guy, but I just fell in love with that as well.
Wow.
And all the soul people, and it just added so much new influence to writing music
Yeah.
and also trying different things. So there's a little bit of that coming through on the record, I think, even though it's still predominantly folk.
Mm.
And in terms of production, I think, yeah, my producer, Nick, I think he's very inspired by Radiohead.
Ooh.
But also when we were working on this record, he heard a lot of Cat Power when I first showed him my songs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I don't think he specifically had a direction in terms of the production. I think he was just intuitively creating. Yeah.
That's really cool. Like just the like, because I play multiple bands, okay, and one of the bands I'm in is a reggae band, and we've been working on a whole album for the last 4 years, and we were actually supposed to release an album last year in April, and obviously it all happened, so we decided to just press pause on that. But it's been designed to have a side A and a side B, and one is a light side and one is the dark side. So one is basically, one side's all the major key sunny, like really happy ones, and then flip over the B side, and that's where all the dark dub and a dub remix comes in. And yeah, that's why I was curious to know if you're going to be doing that with the two releasing. And when you said you're going to do an LP, that would make sense to me if you're actually having like a like almost like a light and shade kind of thing happening, which I really appreciate. That's cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's satisfying to support the music with a bit of a concept.
A little bit. It's just kind of like it's done in relief, and you sigh, and then you go on to the next thing.
Exactly. Totally.
Mate, we've hit the 40-minute mark. I don't know if you realise that. So I'll wrap things up now. But if you stay on the line, I'll have a bit of a debrief with you. But I'll chuck in the link to the EP in the description on the video, and also in the audio Spotify link too. And yeah, everyone should check out When Love Comes, the EP. I actually, Suit of Armour is probably my favorite. But however, If You Call My Name, and when you did that acoustic version, that was dope. Because there's the
acoustic version.
There's a video of you doing a.
Oh yeah, of course. I was thinking When Love Comes. Yeah, If You Call My Name on Instagram.
Yeah, because there's a couple of lines in that thing which, to be honest with you, you should actually use it on TikTok. Because it actually really the bit about
which ones?
The broken phone line. I can't. I'm shit.
Oh yeah,
at
you've got no
lyrics.
credit and your phone screen's stuck.
That's it. Yeah, I'm shit at lyrics. I'm a bass player, mate. I'm fucking horrible at lyrics. But that
All about the rhythm.
Cool. Yeah, and the groove. All right, hang in there. Everyone else, Danika, go follow their stuff. And we'll chat later.
Bye.
Really hope you enjoyed that one. Danika was an incredible artist to talk to. Go check out When Love Comes, the EP. Favorites on that would be If You Call My Name, Suit of Armour. Yeah, just the whole EP is really cool. Next week, very cool artist as well coming in, so stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you for supporting local music, live music, all sorts of music. You guys are legends. Cheers.